I've been waiting my whole life for this one. Orthopedic surgeon and husband for The View host, Sonny Hostin, has been named in a federal lawsuit alleging insurance fraud. She got on television. She run these women. Tell me why she got her husband is named in a lawsuit in insurance fraud. And I'm gonna show you exhibit. Let me say exhibit B. Can you show this to the jury?
If you thought Sonny Hostin's sharp debates on The View were fiery, nothing compares to the storm now brewing around her personal life. Viewers once tuned in for her commentary on politics and culture, but today, the headlines dragging her into the spotlight have nothing to do with opinions shared on daytime television. Instead, they center on a federal lawsuit, one so massive, so staggering, that it threatens to shatter not just her credibility, but her entire household. Her husband, orthopedic surgeon Dr. Emmanuel Hostin, has been swept into what prosecutors are calling one of the largest racketeering and insurance fraud cases in New York's history. The figure tied to it is enough to stop anyone in their tracks: $450 million. For years, Sonny has built her reputation as the moral voice at the table, weighing in on inequality, systemic corruption, and the shortcomings of American institutions. But irony has a cruel way of playing its part. Now, the very principles she championed so fiercely are colliding head-on with the reality that her own family has been accused of being part of a criminal scheme so sprawling it dwarfs even the mafia prosecutions of decades past.
Yeah, you're married. Tom, you're married. If your husband's doing something, if he's allegedly doing something like this, you guys would know if your wives were up to some nefarious stuff. Let's just not forget who she is. She's been, for years, lecturing America about morality, inequality, systemic failures, and look at her track record. How many times does she have to go on in the past 2 months and look at the camera and do a legal apology for all the stuff that she said on the show? And then she also, on Trump's win, calling the loss because of uneducated white women that Trump won.
We have to know that. This is accused.
All accused. Yeah, all accused, but he's in the Rico. This is a big Rico case that her husband's in there.
The storyline writes itself, only this isn't television, and the consequences are far grimmer than an on-air debate. Think about it. You wake up one morning after another heated week in the spotlight, only to discover that your spouse has been named among nearly 200 defendants in a federal Rico case. Not some minor civil lawsuit. Not a professional misconduct charge. A racketeering case tied to fraudulent billing, kickbacks, and surgeries that may never have needed to happen, or in some instances, may never have even happened at all. For Sonny, the blow isn't just personal, it's existential. The very image she's cultivated, the persona of someone who calls out corruption and holds others accountable, now risks being turned against her.
Her husband accused of committing federal insurance fraud in a lawsuit, okay? Now, let's read this. Rob, is this a video?
Well, I have this. I'll show you this.
Let me just read this and I'll come to you. So, Dr. Emmanuel Manny Hostin, an orthopedic surgeon and husband of The View co-host Sonny Hostin, is accused in December lawsuit fraudulently billing insurance. By the way, this is a Daily Caller story I'm reading. The lawsuit alleges Hostin knowingly provided fraudulent medical and other healthcare services in exchange for kickbacks and or compensation, and names him among nearly 200 defendants in one of New York's largest RICO cases. Wow. Hostin's attorney, Daniel Twites, denies the allegations, calling the lawsuit a meritless attempt by a near-bankrupt insurance carrier to intimidate doctors and restrict healthcare benefits. The case involves claims that Hostin performs unnecessary surgeries on patients after minor accidents without exploring less invasive treatments, with American Transit citing New York's 1974 no-fault law as contributing to widespread.
Dr. Hostin, once respected in his field, now finds himself painted as a central figure in a scheme targeting insurance carriers tied to taxi companies, Uber, and Lyft drivers. The accusations allege that he and other doctors knowingly performed unnecessary procedures, shoulder surgeries, knee scopes, and other invasive treatments that padded their pockets while leaving insurance companies drowning in fraudulent claims. And when those weren't enough, prosecutors allege the claims were fabricated entirely. Imagine a patient being billed for a procedure they never received, a scar they never carried, a pain that was never treated, just so someone else could cash in.
The View co-host Sunny Hostin's husband, Emmanuel Hostin, has been accused of federal insurance fraud. According to a new lawsuit obtained by Page 6, the orthopedic surgeon was one of 200 defendants named in one of the biggest racketeer influence and corrupt organization cases ever filed in New York. Emmanuel was accused of federal insurance fraud and, quote, getting kickbacks by performing surgery and billing a company that insured taxi companies and Uber and Lyft drivers. According to the documents, he knowingly provided fraudulent medical and other healthcare services, including arthroscopic surgery.
It's easy to see why the lawsuit has left jaws on the floor. Federal prosecutors aren't pulling their punches, branding this case as one of the largest racketeering investigations in state history. To put it in perspective, even the mafia trials that once dominated New York headlines pale in comparison to the scale of what's being alleged here. And in the middle of that storm sits Sunny Hostin, silent, stoic, and perhaps hoping the tide will turn before it drags her down completely.
It's always the people that always do the pointing, and it always comes back to them, all right? So when you said this is the largest RICO case ever filed in the state of New York, you guys wrap that around your brain. That's bigger than the mafia case. Like the mafia one was number one. This one takes it over. So he was scamming insurance companies from taxi drivers, Uber drivers, and Lyft drivers. He was performing unnecessary surgeries and then providing fraudulent medical services in exchange for the.
Her critics aren't showing the same restraint. The irony is simply too rich for many to ignore. For years, Sunny has delivered sharp rebukes against political figures, celebrities, and institutions she viewed as corrupt. She spoke of accountability, of transparency, of doing the right thing even when it was difficult. Yet now, as her own husband faces accusations of orchestrating multi-million-dollar fraud, her voice has all but vanished. Not a statement, not a defense, not even a carefully worded explanation. Just silence. And in today's media landscape, silence doesn't erase the scandal, it amplifies it.
Guys, this is why we need to seriously have a long, lengthy conversation about healthcare in the United States of America. This is basically it. So Sunny Hostin's husband was basically charged with insurance fraud. What he was doing was doing like fraudulent surgeries and then overcharging the insurance companies for him. This is what this is. So now, of course, he's now being named along with about 200 other individuals in a federal RICO charge case, guys.
The lawsuit, first reported by outlets like the Daily Caller and Page 6, details a sweeping operation that allegedly stretched back years, roping in doctors, clinics, and other healthcare providers across New York. American Transit Insurance, one of the plaintiffs, claims it was forced to pay out millions for procedures it argues were unnecessary, inflated, or outright fabricated. Their position is clear. This wasn't an isolated mistake or a rogue billing error. This was a system, designed and perpetuated by medical professionals who knew exactly how to game the state's no-fault insurance laws for maximum profit.
I've been waiting my whole life for this one. Orthopedic surgeon and husband for the View host, Sunny Hostin, has been named in a federal lawsuit alleging insurance fraud. She got on television. She run these women. Tell me why she got her husband is named in a lawsuit in insurance fraud, and I'm gonna show you exhibit. Let me say exhibit B. Can you show this to the jury? Roll it, Nick.
You know, doctors suffer because of big corporations as well. Doctors that want to do good, like my husband.
Dr. Hostin's attorney, of course, paints a very different picture. To him, this isn't fraud, it's a smear campaign. A desperate insurance company, teetering on the edge of its own bankruptcy, allegedly lashing out at doctors to cover its financial missteps. He's dismissed the charges as meritless, an intimidation tactic meant to scare physicians away from providing care under the state's already complicated system. But the federal government doesn't typically file racketeering charges on a whim. And when the figure tied to the case reaches nearly $500 million, the spotlight only burns brighter.
After last week, we learned that Sonny's husband, Dr. Emmanuel Hostin, was named in a lawsuit filed by American Transit Insurance Company. He's one of 200 people named in this lawsuit, and they are accusing him of filing fraudulent insurance claims and also getting kickbacks from them. And it's a very serious crime. In fact, it's one of the largest, if not the largest, RICO case in New York's history, and they're seeking $450 million. And Sonny and her husband, they are fighting back. They've hired legal eagle Mark Garagos to help them fight this case, and they're claiming that this is completely baseless.
Sonny's predicament is as much about perception as it is about the actual charges. Her career rests on her ability to present herself as a voice of reason and judgment, someone unafraid to challenge hypocrisy. But now the hypocrisy she's accused of embodying is deeply personal. Critics are already dredging up her past remarks, from her commentary on elections to her sharp takes on social issues, highlighting every moment she spoke of morality and accountability. For them, the contradiction is too glaring to ignore. Yet, if you peel back the layers of scandal, what emerges is something bigger than just one couple. This isn't only a story about Sonny or her husband. It's about a healthcare system where loopholes can be exploited, where doctors are incentivized to perform procedures not because patients need them, but because they pay more.
Anna went in a different direction, but I love the fact that, Manny is younger and he's
How
very...
much younger is he?
Just a little bit.
He's like 1 year, isn't he? Like a month or a year or 10 years?
5 years. It's more than a year.
Oh.
Anyway, it's not about me. I think.
Oh, no.
I think that it's very helpful that he's handy, and when we travel, I'm not picking up any bags. He's the one that's hefting them overhead. He throws the garbage out.
Right.
He does the heavy stuff.
It's about insurers, who are often cast as villains in American healthcare, now presenting themselves as victims of a system rigged against them. And it's about the public, caught in the middle, left wondering how much of their medical care is really about health and how much is about profit. Still, the focus remains firmly on Sonny, whose once bright image is now clouded by suspicion. Will she speak out? Will she defend her husband publicly or distance herself quietly? Already, some commentators speculate she'll lean on the classic defense, that she had no idea what her husband was doing behind closed doors, that the scandal unfolding in courtrooms and press releases never crossed the threshold into their home. But whether or not that's true, public opinion doesn't always wait for facts. Silence, after all, is often interpreted as complicity. The couple has already taken steps to fight back, hiring high-profile attorney Mark Garagos to lead their defense. It's a sign that they intend to dig in, not fold under pressure. But that decision also means months, if not years, of legal battles ahead. And with every filing, every headline, every leaked detail, Sonny's public image risks further erosion. For a television personality, reputation isn't just important, it's everything. And once it begins to crumble, it's nearly impossible to rebuild.
Giuliani shook the tree and a bunch of mobsters fell out, right? This is big stuff. And so, and thank you for bringing that video. It sure is ironic that she's up there. So, but if she didn't really know what was going on, right, which is what she's probably going to say later, oh, I had no idea what my husband and his associates were doing. We'll wait and see what that is. But I think it's pretty freaking ironic.
Yeah. I have a totally different perspective on this. I don't really know what happened with this. The facts will come out. What I have a problem with is the core of who this woman is. Unlike you, I don't watch The View, bro. All I do is see clips.
It's just like twice a day.
Here's all I hear from her. America's violent. America's racist. America's bad. Okay. I challenge you, Sonny. And this is Konstantin Kisin actually was saying something about this. Find me a country that's not racist.
What's perhaps most striking is the scale of devastation this case represents. 200 defendants, millions upon millions of dollars, entire clinics implicated, and a federal government intent on making an example of those involved. If the charges stick, the fallout won't just be financial. Careers will end. Licenses will be stripped. And for Dr. Hostin, the possibility of prison looms large. The man once trusted with repairing broken bones may now spend his future in a courtroom defending his own fractured reputation. For Sunny, the storm clouds are darker still. She faces no direct charges, but the court of public opinion rarely bothers with legal nuance. Already, whispers of bankruptcy hover over her household. The staggering sums attached to the lawsuit could wipe out not just her husband's career, but their shared financial security. What happens to the voice of accountability when her own foundation collapses? What happens to the critic when she becomes the story? Perhaps the most unsettling part of this saga is that it feels so Shakespearean in its irony. A woman who made her name by calling out hypocrisy now finds herself ensnared in allegations of it. A family built on professional prestige and public image now stands accused of profiting off deception. And as the case grinds forward, as details continue to spill into the public arena, one truth becomes harder to deny. This is no longer just about Emmanuel Hostin, or even Sunny Hostin. It's about the fragility of reputations, the speed with which public perception can shift, and the way scandal consumes even those who once thought themselves untouchable. And so, Sunny finds herself in a place she never expected to be, not at the center of a political debate, not sparring with co-hosts on live television, but as a silent figure in a story that could define the rest of her career. Whether she chooses to break that silence, to fight for her image as fiercely as she's fought for her beliefs, remains to be seen. But one thing is certain, this isn't a storm she can outrun. It's here. It's massive. And it's threatening to destroy everything she's built.